Fredie, you want to start?
Maybe you start first, Sajata.
Ah, okay. Awesome. Hi, everyone. My name is SAJATA-E. You could call me SAJATA-E. I am a sustainable designer and textile artist based in the South Bronx, New York City.
I'm Fredie. I'm a filmmaker. I was a student activist since I was in university. Today's talk, we're going to ask each other, Sajata, because we haven't seen each other for a long time since I left.
Mm-hmm.
So we have prepared some questions for us to have a dialogue. The several months I spent in New York, I found myself um, quite feeling quite weird sometimes. There was the first time I find myself was a minority in Harlem, and especially in Harlem in the Bronx.
Yeah.
New York's demographic is so different and very diversified. So it was challenging for me to live. But I was always hopeful and positive. But Sajada said I was sometimes too idealistic. I make a lot of mistakes when I was in New York. I always had to be ready to explain some quite strange question by the neighborhood. For example, why am I so interested in meeting Black and Hispanic people in the first place? Okay. They asked me how much do I know about their culture and why should they listen to my story from Hong Kong. And in some extreme cases, I was asked, am I coming to the community to take the jobs? Yeah, I was asked for several times. I expected that I could practice my profession quickly in New York, to teach in the community film center, also developing collaboration with locals, developing projects, but it didn't go as far as I imagined. I thought it was a global issue, gentrification. So I thought if some of my film also share the same concern, I thought naturally they will welcome me and get me involved in the community. But of course, then the stories went a little bit differently. If I were a community artist and I want to know the locals might not share the same mission as ACC, and I had to prepare myself to talk to locals. Doing community art, it is always a process of building trust first, because like your work are usually produced and accepted by the community and show it to them.
It's very hard to envision that you would come against so many different views when you go to a multi-diverse community like New York. New York is basically 5 cities condensed into one city. America is not a super old country. It's relatively developed. So, and how it was developed was effed up. Like how America was built was effed up, and that's it. This is something that's just very, very true. I don't necessarily think it is my role to be the face of Black Lives Matter or to be the face of even the pandemic movement in America. I'm more beneficial as being an example. When I say I would rather be an example as opposed to being a voice box or the face of Black Lives Matter or any of these movements, is because we live and breathe by example. Whether that example is perfect or not, I am a flawed human being just like everybody else. But when you look at individuals working towards a common goal, and they represent a particular culture, you do have to look at that and go, hey, maybe the misconstrued media and whatever's being put before me isn't the truth. Maybe there's more to the story. I originally supposed to go to Malaysia and Hong Kong, but instead, due to many different situations, I wound up going to Hong Kong and Taiwan. In Hong Kong, I kind of knew what I would be, what I would be walking into. I knew that I would not be a unicorn in a sense when it comes to walking around Hong Kong. Like, in Taiwan, I was a unicorn. Like I was, I might as well have had a horn. It's very rare that you would see many African Americans from New York coming and walking down the streets of Taipei. I think the language barrier was more of an issue than the cultural barrier, mainly because I think a lot of people feel insecure about if they're not speaking proper English or not, and how I would perceive that. And I was feeling, insecure about my Mandarin and how I would be able to, navigate and negotiate that. So in that, we kind of met in the middle. And I guess me and the community both said, hey, if we're not speaking proper language, it's okay. We're still going to communicate. And then we gained some understanding.